Hi all, Hal here with more Empyrion, Galactic Survival. And today we're going to do something, well, something I've done before, but never actually as a formal standalone thing. We wanted to talk to you all about building a base. I've had a lot of people asking, since structural integrity has been added to the game, specifically for bases, how do you get started with building a base? Especially considering the fact that when you're in survival mode or even in creative mode, you can sometimes place things down and it all just kind of falls apart. So we've all done it at some point. I've actually done it on camera a couple of times. But yeah, I've had people asking, and so what I want to do is just do a kind of a short tutorial, just to go over some basics, just to show you what you can and can't do with the building, as long as you keep some basic concepts in mind. You can actually do pretty much anything you want in the game, up to a point. So first off, let's go ahead. We're going from the assumption that you know how to play the basic game. You know, you've got your survival crafter down. You've been able to get the resources together to build your base starter, and you've got some different blocks, right? Be it the wood, concrete, or even steel. So just depending on how your seed went, as well as how you were placing things and, you know, your progression into the game, we're going to assume that you at least have one of the basic material types available, right? So the first thing you need to understand is that when you place your starter is basically just the core. You know, it used to be a small platform when you placed it. Now it's just the core block. So we're going to go ahead and place it right here. Why? Well, because we can. Now I am in creative mode because I don't want to have to go out mining the resources and processing them in order to make a block. So you're going to see me jumping in and out of here for a couple of times. Now I'm going to have a couple of different blocks here because I want to show you a few things, right? So we're going to place this one here, and we've got one over here. Now, you can use the wood, you can use concrete, you can use steel, or even combat steel, or whatever, you know, whatever materials you want to take the time to gather the materials for, the resources for, and the things that you want to build out with. So with the bases, let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and bring up the symmetry plane just so that we can do two things. One, we want to show the structural integrity. So by default, you press and hold the N key on your keyboard, just as if you're using a QWERTY keyboard with US Standard or English Standard, depending on which keyboard set you're using. So you may need to go in and check your settings to make sure if you're using something that isn't a standard English keyboard set, right? Now, what you want to do is you get this building tools menu. You want to show structural integrity. As you can see, if it's green, it's good. This is a good thing. If you wanted to use your symmetry planes, you can just choose whichever you want. If you want vertical for where you're looking, so things on the left and right of what you're building will be mirrored. You want the Y and Z, or Z, depending on how you wish to pronounce it. With a block selected and still holding the N key, you do a single left click, and that'll give you your symmetry plane. Okay, so with the way we're facing, that is not what we want. X and Y will do this, and so we're going to X and Y, right? Yeah, okay. So that gives us our vertical plane, so anything that we place over here will be mirrored on the other side. This is going to be very important because it allows you to do some things that may not be able to do normally, and that's why I've got that block down there. So we'll show you that one here shortly. So starting with this one, one of the first things you want to make sure that you're doing is that the first block you place, your starter block, needs to be set so that it is actually flat on the ground. As you can see here, you can penetrate the ground a little bit, right? But you really need this to be the leading edge needs to be supported. If it's not supported, you may still be able to place it, but the first time you put a block down, it's going to break. Let me show you really quickly what we're talking about. So you see how, let's go here. this is not really supported all that well. Now, if I put a block on there, the first block might be okay, but see, we're getting better. All right. Now, when I place the second block, we're still okay. And when we place the third block, you know what? They may have changed it because we're in creative. It may be giving us a little bit more of a. So looks like they actually changed the structural integrity, because wood used to break at about 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we take it out to 11, it'll probably, it's 10, 11, 12. Wow. So they've really changed this. 13, 14, 15. Okay. So that broke there. Okay, so wow, they've really changed the amount that you can do. So now that we know that we can go out 15 blocks, let's go 1. So that's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as you can see, it changes color from that nice bright green down to a darker green, starting to tinge into red. And since we know that it'll break at 15, we can go 12, 13, 14. At this point, if you get into this territory as far as color is concerned, you're in trouble. You really don't want to be building past this. Now, what you can do is, if you do want to extend this out to make it a longer base, you can go at the last point that you are connecting to, and you could theoretically do it here as well. If you place it and drag it, you get down to the ground so that it's actually colliding with the surface of the planet, and you place it, and look, it has now updated your integrity, so everything is much more supported. So you actually now have a new point. Now, before, when we showed you, if we didn't do this, what would happen is everything would break all the way back to the first block placed, right? So this is how you can get your builds out a little bit further. Since wood is allowing us to do 15 now, that's pretty good. I like it. I'm liking that, because, like I said, it used to be everything basically broke at around 10 to 12. It makes me wonder if concrete is actually going to be lower because it's a heavier material. Let's see. Let's go with the concrete over here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See, because this one's fully supported, this one is not. So fully supported, partially supported. Okay. So from here it should be 15 blocks, right? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on. 9, 10, 11. And as you can see, we are actually in that danger zone already at 11. That's 12. Which means at 13 it's going to break. So if we say 14, 15. So no, this is actually not being counted as supported. It would probably shear right here. Let's try it. Let's see how close my prediction is. We're doing all this real time, and just to show you. There it is. And did it shear where I thought it was going to shear? Yep. So it sheared right here. So these are fully supported then. Okay. So from there we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? 12. Okay. So if you want it to put in, if you want things to go forward again, you just do this. You show that it's actually making contact, just to show you. If you place it here, it is not supported. If you place it here, it is, right? And that's how you, like I said, that's how you get your bases extended out past what you would normally be able to build. So if you're having problems with things shearing, that's basically what's going on, is you just need to keep things a little bit better supported. Now let's see if we can, what I want to do is see if we can find a spot where we can place, so you can't place the starter directly in the water anymore. You used to be able to. Water used to count as a surface, and it doesn't count as a surface anymore. Okay, so now sometimes when you place things, it'll actually shear on the first block, even though it looks like it's all fully supported. And what happens is that the first block that you place used to have, basically there was a physics check here to make sure that there was enough structural integrity, so even though it looked like it was good, it would the whole thing would shear and drop off. So you do want to be careful of that. Like I said, when you're doing this in the real world, in the game, what I generally recommend is that if you are placing something here on the on an edge like this, and your first block is going to be unsupported like this, I do recommend that you use basically the click and drag method to put a support in right there on the core itself, simply because it will allow you to be sure that your whole thing isn't going to collapse as you're working on it. And that is the most important thing. I generally say don't go more than 6 or 7 blocks without putting some form of support on it, because even if it is secure to the point where it's not going to drop off for some reason, it just gives you that much more structural integrity in your build in case later on you need to do something, like you need to add something, because when you put items in, those items will also have an impact. Let's go over here to electronics really quick. We're going to look for stuff just for bases. And let's grab med station, we'll grab gravity generator, and that's alien. We don't want the alien turrets, because we can't use the alien turrets. Well, we can, but only in creative mode can you use those. So when you place things, they also are impacted by the rating at which the block that they are placed on. So what happens is that if this became structurally unsound and collapsed, anything that's attached to it is going to go with it. So that's why it's so important. Now, if you have a base like this where you've already got things floating and you want to refirm it or to shore it up a little bit, you just do that. And as you can see, it instantly changes to show that the calculation is much more robust. Well, the structural support is, at least, right? And so you see how we actually have things in, there was actually room in there to place more. So now we come over here and we go that, and you can see this portion of it is brighter than this portion of it. So keep that in mind. These things will allow you to carry through support. And if you take them out, like over here, let's say we had something built off of here, and this was basically had become a linchpin. If we took it out, the whole thing around it could shear off if you start exceeding the structural integrity. Okay, so that is the basics of the structural integrity system. Now, as you play through the game and as you work with it more, you'll figure out what works for you and what doesn't. But like I said, I have had a bunch of questions on how to get things to be supported further out like this. So I did want to just run through that very quickly. Everything that you do in the base does add to the mass of the base, obviously. So even though you can build out something that's, say, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So even though you build out like this, if you put enough weight on it, or enough mass on it, let's go... Actually, we don't have mass blocks for bases, unfortunately, which would be kind of nice if we did. We do have... What's the mass on this? 1.8 tons. Okay. So if we go like so, you see, it shears it off. And that's a problem that a lot of people run into. That's why I say, if you're going to go and start building these types of walkways out, I do recommend you don't go further than like 5 or 6 blocks without putting some kind of support under it to the planet surface, because you do have to deal with the mass of the things that you are placing on them. You see how easy it is for this stuff to shear off? But yet, it's okay right there. So, even though that it says it's good, if we put another one down, oh, you see the base at this point, that turret is helping reinforce the structural integrity out here. So we go take all of our filters off. We want the multi-tool, Let's get a tier 2. We'll get the multi-charge. And that's how that works. So now, like I said, keep that in mind because you can actually end up making traps like this in PvP areas. Because if you happen to be out here and that drops off and this isn't water that you drop into, like if you're, say, on the side of a mountain and you do that, if the person isn't paying attention, when they fall, they will take damage. So you can build some pretty nasty surprises, especially if you have things that are bridging the support like that. All right? So, on that note, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more things like it, let me know by hitting that like button. If you are new to the channel, haven't done so already, I do ask that you subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, tips for other people, or even for me, because, you know, it's obvious I don't know everything about every game I play. Some would say I don't know anything about any game I play. But jokes aside, if you do have any tips or suggestions, feel free to throw those down in the section below the video. If for no other reason, and it makes it easy for other people to find those same tips and points. And do remember that this is a game that is in early access, so it is constantly in development and being refined. So things that you see that are true today may not be true tomorrow. But as it is right now, that's the way that the structural integrity system is working. Hopefully we will see this again some point in time being applied to the ships. I have heard all sorts of rumors about it being applied to at least the CV class of ships at some point in the, I don't want to say immediate future, but definitely in the upcoming future. So if they do implement, I will definitely put a tutorial out for that as well. And yeah, so on that note, we're out of here. I hope you all have a fantastic day, a terrific week, and we will see you back here next time for more Empyrion. As always, folks, take care and be safe out there, everybody. Let's see if we can break some things. Oh, so much fun when you get things to go boom.